Anyways, so the Mishnah says that there are arba hadyatis that don't have a chelik in elam haba. Balaam, Doeg, Architefel, and Gechazi. Yesterday we mentioned that it's Alpes Gimel Daled out of order. The first one here is Balaam. So the big question that we have to ask ourselves is, and this is what many Mefarshim deal with over here, which I don't want to address yet. I want to wait. Wait on this for a little while later. Balaam's a guy. So then, why is he here? There were a lot of Rishonim that were goyim. There were a lot of goyim that were Rishonim. Why did they mention it here? Kol Yisrael Yeshlam Chelik Elam Haba. Yeah, besides for Balaam. Yeah, when he's not included in the discussion here because he's a guy. Huh? Anyone want to attempt to answer the question? They have a basic answer that I think just about everybody revolves around this idea. What? He was a Navi. Right. Yeah, that's the answer. He was a Navi. So you would say, because he's a Navi, so he had some kind of Hashras HaShechina, so then, maybe he will be Zeichet Elam Haba. By the way, were there other Nevi'im that were non-Jews? Anybody know? Ovadia. He was a Ger. He was Ger Edoimi Haya. It's a question because Ibn Ezra says that he doesn't know who Ovadia Hanavi is, if it was that Ovadia that was from the times of Achav or not. Pashtus it was. Even though, the question is, what's Ibn Ezra's question? He was a ger, right? Interestingly enough, hopefully we'll get to it, Doeg HaAdoimi was called such because he himself was a ger also. And his whole problem, Doeg's whole problem was, he was the one that opened his mouth against David HaMelech, saying how David comes from Gerim. So how could he be the Melech on Klal Yisrael, right? Until Avner ben Ner Darshan, Amoini v'loi Amoinis, Mayavi v'loi Mayavis. That as long as he's not, meaning the Torah asked someone, a male from Moav or a male from Ammon to join Klal Yisrael, but not the females. The females may join Klal Yisrael as a ger. But it would be very interesting to see what would happen if it would be true that Doeg himself was a ger. It's a discussion. It's a shiloh what that means exactly. There's a Pashtus that says in Chazal that he was. So he was a Navi, and we know one of the things that they teach us when we're young is that the reason why, and this is not wrong, this is a correct thing that they teach, that the reason why Balaam was a Navi because, the Ummah Yisraelim are going to come to HaKadosh Baruch Hu and they're going to say, listen, you can't clobber us at the end of the days, you can't punish us at the end of the days, you never told us what to do. Obviously there's no welcome to the Taina B'chlal because, they could have accepted the Torah, they didn't have to do Avodah Zarah, right? The Naaman Ger Toshav Haya, we spoke about people that accepted upon, even goyim that accept upon themselves to not do avodah zarah, they're called a ger toshav. So there is such a thing, right? But for whatever reason, they feel. I mean, it's obvious why they feel this way. That the Yidden are going to get the schar at the end of the days, and they're not. So they're going to be very jealous. They're going to be very left out. They feel very left out. So because of such kindness, Hashem said, "I'll give you a navi, and we'll see if it helps." Yeah. Ki'ilu this Navi is some real holy kind of person, Davuk B'Hashem b'Teirasai. Yeah? This person did everything that he could to destroy Klal Yisrael in the most disgusting of ways possible. Yeah? If a person doesn't like Jews, right? See, he wants to drive them out of town, right? Every shtetl had a parts. Parts don't like the Jews. If you don't give me X amount of money within X amount of time, well, the Jews are going to be expelled from the land. This was Ma'asim B'chol Yom. This is how life was in those days, But Balaam didn't just want to get rid. Balaam was very, very bothered and annoyed and upset, and it aggravated him the level of ruchnias that the Klal Yisrael attained. And that's what bothered him. It bothered him that we were on such a high spiritual level, and he couldn't deal with that. So he says, Klal Yisrael so holy. I'm going to show you how low Klal Yisrael can fall. And he was Machshel Klal Yisrael with the Bnei Moav. As we know, there was Magefa, and there were Mesu, 24,000 people, and the Talmidei Rebbe Akiva, by the way, were also 24,000. Huh? Anybody ever thought about this before? Talmidei Rebbe Akiva. Good morning. You're joining us? No. Why not? Okay, go, enjoy. So there were 24,000 Talmidei Rebbe Akiva. There's also 24,000 people that died in this Magefa. There's a lot of talk over here about this. Right? So, the Torah introduces Balaam to us in Parshas Balak, a couple of weeks back, Anybody have any information about what Balaam was doing until that time? Anybody heard of him beforehand? Let's see. I'm testing your knowledge. See how well you know the parsha is. See how well you know. There's two things I'm looking for. Either one, I'm gonna. Yeah.
It was Paro's advisor.
It was Paro's advisor.
To drown the boys.
Exactly. As I state in Gemara. So Gemara Saita. Shloisha hayu ba'isa eitza. There were three people. There was three advisors that Paro had. Three main advisors, and each one had a different idea of how to deal with the Jews. Paro was very nervous. You know, he had these people working for him, but it was a shtickle out of control. It was more than a shtickle out of control. Yeah. So Balaam says you got to kill them because they're no good. So he says to kill the Jews. So the Gemara says he ultimately was killed. And obviously a lot happened from the time of when Klal Yisrael came down to Mitzrayim and started living there until Balaam got killed in, Parshas Pinchas, Parshas Matos, And then we'll see in the Gemara who Balaam was really, because, maybe he wasn't killed by Pinchas, maybe it was his son, maybe it was the father. It's going to get very interesting. And Yisro ran away to Midian. He said, we can't kill the Jews. We don't kill out a whole population. We're not going to do that. So Zocha, he was Zocha that his children, his descendants, should be the Yoshua Sanhedrin. Think about it. He got the son-in-law, the biggest Talmid Chacham of all time. So Moshe Rabbeinu was his son-in-law. He's not some small cheap guy over here, right? He's got to have some high quality to him that HaKadosh Baruch Hu would make it that Moshe Rabbeinu would marry his daughter, right? And Eov Sheshosak Nidin B'Yasurim. Eov was quiet. He didn't voice any opinions, so he got punished. He had a lot of Yisurim in his life, as is explained in the Sefer Eov, which, Mitzvah Shem, we'll learn one day. Yeah. So the question is, why did Eov get punished with Yisurim? Because he was quiet. So the Pashtus is on a very, very elementary level. He should have spoken up. Now Balaam, he spoke up also. But you got to stand up for something. Okay, fine. That's not a discussion for today. What this Ma'aseh was, but that's where we know Balaam. That's where we know Balaam from. And we see already then he was stirring to make problems, to make trouble for Klal Yisrael. Because the first one that started up with Klal Yisrael in the sense where Klal Yisrael was, before Klal Yisrael was a Klal Yisrael even, but when Klal Yisrael was, digging the foundation, if you want to say, when Klal Yisrael was in Mitzrayim, Paro was there. And Balaam was the one that came up with this brilliant idea of let's kill the Jews, let's throw them into the water. That was from Balaam's idea. Now, Chazal tell us that the story of Balaam starts way before this Ma'aseh. Anybody know where? Anybody know when? Anybody know who? Give a guess. What? So we just said from Chazal, the Gemara Saita, Rabbi Red T-shirt, I forgot his first name, mentioned that the Gemara says that Balaam was the advisor of Paro in Mitzrayim, and he advised Paro to go kill the Jews, to throw them in the water. Anybody know where Balaam appears even before that, according to some in Chazal? Even before that. Again, he was looking to destroy people. Huh? Anybody know? Anyone want to give a guess? Behind the stender, you want to give a guess? Yeah. Even before this Ma'aseh, way before this Ma'aseh. That's the question we're going to see in the Gemara. We're going to have to figure out that Gemara, what the Gemara means. Huh? No? Anybody? Give a guess. Say something. Huh? Lavan. Anybody know Lavan? Who's Lavan? Who's Lavan? Yaakov's father-in-law. Right. He was Balaam, according to some. Maybe Balaam was Lavan's son. See, he's Yaakov's brother-in-law. Doesn't make things better. I think it makes things worse. He's way too close for comfort. Maybe the reason why he knows everything about Klal Yisrael is because his brother-in-law Yaakov Avinu. That's bad news. Yeah, so that's that. But the Gemara says a story, and I want to learn this inside of Mitzvah Shem. There was a story in Sefer Shoftim with the king who caused a lot of problems, and his name was Kushan Rishosayim. And there are those that say that the Gemara says that those that learned that was Balaam also. So maybe it wasn't exactly Balaam, maybe it was Balaam's son, maybe it was a grandson. But all the, we are Klal Yisrael, and we refer to the Avos as Avram Yitzchak Yaakov. You want to start counting how many generations it's been since Avram Yitzchak Yaakov? It doesn't matter. We say 3 times a day that we're the children of Avram Yitzchak Yaakov. It doesn't matter how many generations went by. The Bilams, it doesn't matter if it was a son, if it was a father, if it was a grandson. It's all one business of Bilam stuff that made all kinds of problems for Bilam. And another Gemara, another point that's kedai to mention, and maybe we'll get back to also, is the Gemara says in Gittin, in the Gemara about the Churban Beis Hamikdash, that Onkelos wanted to become a ger, and he was asking around through Oiv, through the I don't want to call it Kishuf, but through Oiv, which is, he was Maila, he would communicate with dead people. And he would communicate with the dead people, and he asked them, should he join forces with Klal Yisrael, or you should stay away from them. So he talks to Balaam. And what does Balaam tell him? Yeah? Anybody have a Gemara Gittin? Let's see what the Gemara says inside. Oh, is this a Gemara Gittin? Nope. Yeah? So we'll see what the Gemara says. It's a whole interesting tamais in the Gemara. It's kedai to learn. It's a whole shir mitzad itself. But this is what it says. Nun Vav Amud Beis, I believe. It says as I. I'm going to skip a little bit because it's not, Onkelos bar Kleinekes bar Achde the Titus. Titus, his nephew. Titus was the one who took the sword and stabbed it into the Kodesh HaKadoshim and blood came out. So he asked Titus, should he, who's important in the next world? So he told him the Jews. Okay, fine, we're going to skip a little bit. And then it says, Aske leBilam ben Agida. This is the top of Nun Zayin Amud Aleph in Gittin. He communicates with Bilam. Malay man choshev bahu alma. So who's important in the next world? Malay Yisrael, the Jews. Ma'u latzvukei bahu. Should I connect myself to them? Should I convert to Judaism? Don't even ask them how they're doing. Don't even bother with them. Don't even say hello to them. Ignore them. Stay as far away from them as you can. So he asked them, what's your punishment in Gehenim? In boiling shechvas zera. Why is that? Because Rashi says because it was Mida Keneged Mida Sheba'atzasa Hiskala Am Lizn Myself B'Nais Mayav, because he caused a lot of people to fall to snus with the daughters of Mayav, as we mentioned before, that the 24,000 people fell in the Magefa because of this Aveira. So Bilam is out to get the Ruchnius of Klal Yisrael. And the Gemara says we're going to see that Mi Berchayitzav Shel Eisei Rasha, we know what his Kavanah was, what he really wanted to say about the Jews. The Gemara goes through, it's kedai to learn up the psukim in Parshas Balak, and where Bilam talks about, when Bilam gives a bracha, 3 times Bilam gives a bracha. And every time he talks about the Jews, he talks about the Kedushas Yisrael. So if we see from his brachas that he's super focused on the Kedushas Yisrael, the Kedushas Habayis of Klal Yisrael, we see what his kavanah was. His kavanah was to destroy the Jews, like back from his time that he served as the advisor to Parah, to destroy the children of Klal Yisrael, to destroy the bias of Klal Yisrael. The Paiskim Shmuz, you say Matov in the morning, yeah? Yeah, you do. No. Lama lo. Svardim don't. Lama lo, why not? It's in the Siddur. Not in your Siddur, right? Famous Maisa, someone asked Reb Chaim Brisker why he says Kiddush. He says just by Pirgofen, doesn't say any psukim. He says, why don't you say what it says in the Siddur? He says, I say what it says in the Halacha. Yeah? So, let's see, we have a Sephardi Siddur right here. Let's see what it says to say. What do you say in the morning? What? Brichas HaShachar. You say it out of order too, no? We say it out of order. How do you know? How do you know which order is the right order? Oh, good morning. How do you know which order is the right order? This is only for Shabbat. It's not, I'm looking for, maybe it has it in the morning, but Shachris, yeah? So we say, as general rule, we say Matov in the morning, right? Yeah, Mezok Matov in the free, yeah? Well, some Pesachim say that we shouldn't say that specific pasuk. You know why? Because it comes from Balaam. The question is really, but he was a broches. So then what's the problem? See, Moidani and then the broches. Yeah. The kind of shoma. So go on do, huh? Adonai Lam, you say? You say because you said in Yeshiva, not because in the Siddur, huh? What does Chacham Obadia say? What? It's a song. Yeah, so. That's why I don't like to sing. Oh, here. Adonai Lam. Yeah, it's in the Siddur. But the Spal al Chana, you say this? I never knew that they say that. The Kitzur Tishmu is in the Pesachim to say Matova or not. Yeah. So we know that it came from Balaam and we know it was supposed to be a bracha. But, there's an interesting mice over there because, really, mi berchois of Shalaisa Rasha, we know what his kavanah really was. So that's why some Pesachim say you shouldn't say that pasuk of Matova. I wrote down a few points over here. Let's see if we. Yeah. They mentioned before, Stam, that that taina was that they wanted to have a navi. Yeah. Kilu the navi help. We spoke. It's going to help him. All right. A few more points. Going back to this Meiser at the Gemara Soita, that he was an advisor together with Yisro and Eoiv, right? We know from Rashi, the beginning of Parshas Balak, that Balak ben Tzipor was Melech Lamoyav Beisai, right? And the Midyanim got together with the Moyavim to go make these problems for Klal Yisrael. As a general rule, the Midyanim and the Moyavim did not get along with each other. They were always fighting. But they said, we'll get together to fight the common enemy, the Jews. It just struck me yesterday, and I was thinking about this a little bit. I don't know if there's anything to this, what I'm saying. But as fascinating is, what happened to Yisro? Avotei Gegangen. Yisro ran away to Midyan. He said not to kill the Jews. Midyan later, they made all kinds of problems, as we see with Bnei Midyan over here in the Parsha. But at the same time, you also had that Balak was from Moab. So again, you have the clash. I mean, already then you had the clash between Midian and Moab. Maybe that's why Israel ran away. They don't want to have to do with them. But the Medrash says something very interesting. The Medrash says that when it says that Balak ben Tzipor was Melech L'Moav be'ez hahi, it means that really he wasn't meant to be the king. They would switch off. Sometimes, when the king of Moab would die, then the king of Midian, that would be appointed, he would be in charge of Moab and Midian. It seems like they would. It seems like it was like an on and off kind of funny relationship between the Midians and the Moabs. All right, so let's take a look at the Gemara a little bit, and let's see a little bit inside. And we'll talk a little bit more about where Balaam got his kaiches, from. We know. Anybody here went to Navi school? Huh? A Navi academy? No? No one here is a Navi? Navi MS, Navi Sheker? No? Nobody? Never tried it? Hey, try it out. Huh? It's too much, too intense? You better believe it. So let's talk a little bit about Balaam. So the Gemara that we're going to see is on Kuf Hey Amud Aleph. That's where the Gemara starts talking about Balaam. So the Gemara, Balaam is Beloy Am. He wasn't a king. He was a freelance Russia who would take part in be part of any nation that was willing to go against the Jews. Beloy Am. He wasn't specific to a nation. Davar Achar Balaam, Shabala Am. He tried to wear out and destroy the Am, which would be Klal Yisrael. Ben Be'or, Shaba al Be'ir. He had a very close relationship with his donkey. That's how my Rebbe says it. And we know that, huh? His donkey wasn't stam a car service. He had a very close relationship with it. Tanahu Be'or, Bilam ben Be'or, So Be'or hu kushan rishasayim. That's what we said. He comes up in Shoftim. Hu lavan ha'arami. And that's also lavan ha'arami. Right? We got to figure this out. This is a little bit confusing. Be'or shaba al be'ir kushan rishasayim. Why is it called kushan rishasayim? The ovad shtei rishayis b'Yisrael. He did 2 rishos against Klal Yisrael. Achas b'mei Yaakov, which was Lavan when he tried to, chop them back from when they were leaving. But Achas b'mei Shveit HaShoftim. Umar Shmoi Lavan Arami Shmoi. What's his name? Lavan Arami. Rashi says, Hu be'or aviv shel Bilam hu kushan rishasayim hu Lavan Arami. Achas b'mei Yaakov sheradav acharav bikesh lakar hakol v'achas b'mei Shoftim la'achar misas Yeshua d'chsiv v'yichar af Hashem b'Yisrael v'yitnei b'yad kush rishasayim. It's in Shoftim Paragimel. Hopefully we'll get to see that tomorrow. B'noi be'or. So it's more like this. Ksiv ben be'or, ksiv b'noi be'or. It says he was the son of Be'or, and it also says that his son was Be'or. So Amar B'yechanan aviv b'noihu lai b'nevius. Meaning that the father was on a lower madrega of nevius than him. Bilam huda lai asi la'amada asi. Ha'achrini asu. But Bilam is the one that doesn't get a chelik in il-mabah, and the other ones do. Zok Rashi. So b'noi be'or mashma be'or b'noi shel Bilam haya. It would seem that Be'or would be the son of Bilam. Anybody knows what Bilam's sons' names were? No? This is like good Jewish trivia. Anybody know? Doesn't say it in the Chumash. I mean, we're saying now, B'nai Be'or, right? No. Anybody? Anybody want to guess? Wild guess? George? Stephen? What was that called? It's put in the Midrash Mistama. Yunus and Yumbrus. I don't know where this comes from. We'll look into that too. Okay. Zakt Rashi Vaita B'naihu leBilam b'Nevius Bilam Gadol me'avav hay b'Nevius. Bilam's father was also a Navi. And we could imagine that there was shtickle Messiah that was passed down from father to son of how to be a Navi L'ra, a Navi of Rishus, a Navi of the Ummah Olam. It's one thing if, there's a concept that Tzaddikim Ummah Olam, there is a concept of Goyim that do the right thing, there's a concept of Ger Toshav, like we spoke before, right? But over here it seems that we're going to see, it doesn't seem, we're going to see, it's clear like this, that the whole concept of what this Nevius was is to tap into all the Koiches HaTumah and all the Koiches HaRama of Welt, to use that to go against Hashem, to go against the Torah, to go against Klal Yisrael. We're going to see that. That's what it's all about. Hashar Nachrim also Koloimar, with the Choshev Tan de Masisin, the Bilam Shaya Nachri, V'ad Yadyetis, V'ka'omer Dein Lein Chelik, Mechlal the Shar Nachrim Yesh Lem Chelik. So we started off with the question, do Goyim have a Chelik in Olam Haba? Yeah, they do. They do. Bilam doesn't get any Chelik in Olam Haba, as we spoke, as the Mishnah says. But from the fact that it says that Bilam does not have a Chelik in Olam Haba, that would be mashma that the other Goyim do have a Chelik in Olam Haba. What is that Chelik in Olam Haba? Obviously, it's a much lower level than what a Yid is going to get to. The lowest Yid, if there's such a thing, will always be on a higher level than even the biggest guy. It's just the Matthias. It's just something to talk about. It's not even a question. Zok to Gemara weiter. Maslitzin Mani Rabbi Yeshua. He the Tanya Rabbi Lezer Am Yeshuvu Risham L'Sha'ila Kol Goyim Shchei Chelikim Yeshuvu Risham L'Sha'ila Elu Paishe Yisrael. Kol Goyim Shchei Chelikim Elu Paishe Yodek Yechavim De Rabbi Lezer. Pasuk says in Tehillim that the Risham are going to get punished in Gehenna, and all the Goyim that forgot about Hashem will return them to so Zok to Gemara like this. Yeshuvu Risham L'Sha'ila. The Rishon that are going to return to Sha'al to Gehenim, that's Elu Paishe Yisrael. Those are the Jewish people that sinned. Kol Goyim Shchei Chelikim Elu Paishe Ovdei Kechavim. Those are the Goyim that sin. So you see, there's a punishment for the Yidden that sin. There's a punishment for the Goyim that sin. The Rebbe Lezer. It says Dr. Rebbe Lezer. Rabbi Yeshua says, "V'chi nemar b'chol Goyim." Doesn't say b'chol Goyim. V'loy nemar ala kol Goyim Shchei Chelikim. Ela Yeshuvu Rishon L'Sha'ila Ma'aninu Kol Goyim. Shcheiche Elikim, v'af oiser Kol Goyim Shcheiche Elikim, v'af oiser Rasha Nasan Siman Ba'atzmai. This Rasha Bilam gave a siman for himself. Omar, he said, Tomos Nafshi Moisi Shorim. He said, I want to die the death of the righteous. First, I think that he wants to die like the righteous. He wanted to have a chelik in Elam Haba. He wanted to have a shaychus at Tchias HaMeis. Im Thomas Nafshi Moisi Shorim Teheach Risi Kamoyu Vim Lav Hinni Hoylech La'ami. Meaning Bilam was thinking about it. You know, what really happens, Lasad Lava, what really happens in the next world. She says, if I die Moisi Shorim, then this is what to believe in. But if not, I'm going to go back to my old ways. See, he says, Thomas Nafshi Moiti Shamim Yamus Misas Atzmoi Teachrisi Kamoyu the Vadish Lechel Kimoyim. If he's going to die a regular death, that means that he's going to get a Chel Kanelim. Above him, Lav, the Lo Yomas Eliyah, Horeg Henni Hoylech Lami Legehenim, then he knows he's going to get Gehenim. And who knows what happened to Bilam? How did Bilam's end come about? Anybody know? Anybody want to guess? He got hit by a truck? Stabbed. By who? You always have to know who did it, huh? Who? The Malach. Malach. Which Malach? Hashem? The Malach Hashem? Which one? What was the Maisa? Anybody know what the Maisa was? Let's take a look. Let's take a look. Yeah? It's a Medrash. The Medrash says the whole story would happen. And we got a Chumash. Let's run up your psukim, huh? What happened? Huh? Aaron. You're on the right track. Was Aaron even alive B'Shas Ma'aseh then? So, yeah, Aaron HaKohen's yahrzeit was when? Who knows Aaron HaKohen's yahrzeit was? Huh? Too many questions today, I know. I'm trying to get you involved. Let's go.
It's recent.
Huh? It was yesterday. Aleph Av, Rosh Chodesh Av, Aaron HaKohen's yahrzeit. So here we have Parshas Balak with the ganze Maaseh, right? And then we have Parshas Pinchas. Weitergegangen, and then we have a Maisa like this. HaKadosh Baruch Hu tells Moshe Rabbeinu over here, Azay, Parshas Matos by Sheni, Vaydaber Hashem Moshe Leimen Nekem Nikmas B'nei Yisrael Meisam Yonam V'chulu. Vayishlach Oisam Moshe Elef Lamata Latzava Oisam V'es Pinchas Ben Elazar HaKohen Latzava Uchlei HaKodesh V'chatzoytis Hatru B'yodai. Moshe sent 1,000 soldiers. It's a shaila exactly how many soldiers were in this milchama altogether. Each shevet b'pashta sent at least 1,000 plus another 1,000, and there were about 24,000 soldiers all stood up for over here, which would make sense if they're coming to take the coming from Midian for all the people that fell in the Magefa l'cher, that would make sense. By Yitzbeu al Midian kashativ Hashem es Moshe v'yargu kol zacher, they killed all the males. Ve'es malchei Midian. Here we go. It says Perek Lamed Aleph pasuk Ches. And they killed, these are the kings of Midian that they killed together with all the other Mason, all the other people that they killed. As Evi, Ves Rekem, Ves Tzur, Ves Chur, Ves Revach, Hamesh, Es Malchi Midian, Ves Bilam, Ben Be'or, Hogu B'chorav. Who said they stabbed him? You got it right, they killed him, they chopped him up, chopped him to pieces. Zog, Rashi, Hamesh, Es Malchi Midian. So why was Bilam here? Yeah? Why was Bilam by Midian? Bilam wasn't from Midian. We just said in the Gemara he was below Am. He didn't belong to a specific nation. He was any nation that was willing to hire him to do some bad things against the Jews. He was willing to do that. He was a freelancer. He wasn't tied down to one place, to one job. So Zok Rashi, that Bilam holach shamlita schar eser v'arba elef shepil miYisrael ba'atzosai. He went to Midian to collect his salary from all the Jews that he killed by the Magefa. He left Midian and he went towards the Yidden to give them a bad eitzah. He said to them, he said to them, if when you were Shishim Ribi I couldn't help them, they paid him in full because they were hoping he was going to do some more work for them. B'cherev Bo al Yisrael the hechlef nasay nasam she'ein noishel el bepim al detula bakasha ubahu v'tavas nasam kalam bepiv afem ba olav achlif nasam unsa umais shabam b'cherv shal cham chetzichiv. Very interesting thing, and then we'll get to the story of Ashtet and Medrash. If there's a Medrash Tanchum anywhere, We can show it to you inside. It doesn't matter, but I don't see one. There's Yalkut Shemainian. There's Medrash Rab over there. Let's see just quickly if there's a Tanchum anywhere here. Anyway, so Rashi says that it was very interesting. You know, Klal Yisrael, the way Klal Yisrael works, the way Klal Yisrael operates is bepiv, is with Torah, with Tefillah, right? So they hired Balaam because the best way to get the enemy is to know what their tactics are, and you'll fight them that way. So he said, we're going to overcome and overpower and conquer Klal Yisrael with using the power of Peh, with using the power of the mouth. So we hired Balaam to destroy Klal Yisrael with the power of his mouth. And how does Klal Yisrael end up getting rid of Balaam? By the sword. Because we switched roles. We said yesterday that Esav is al-Char b'chatichya. It's not a Jewish midah to walk around with a sword. Yeah? Mishnah and Shabbos, when it's talking about all the different armor that a person could wear or can't wear on Shabbos, and the Mishnah says that, really we shouldn't be walking around with all kinds of armor anyways, because we're hoping for the day of Lo Yisa Goyel Goy Cherev, Lo Yilmadu Art Melchama, V'chitzu Charvoisam Le'itim, V'chanisayseim L'mazmeiros. We're looking for the day when there's not going to be no more wars. And we'll be able to take the swords and use them as plows to plow the ground, right? Lo Yisa Goyel Goy Cherev. If we're not looking to make war, if we have to defend ourselves, we definitely will. So Klal Yisrael took a cherev and killed Balaam. What happened? What's the Gishem? What's the Gavin the Masa? Yeah? By the way, you could probably find it in the Yalkut Shemaini also if you want. You can find it here too. What happened was like this. Balaam starts making problems for Klal Yisrael again in this Milchama. So Moshe told Pinchas that if Balaam starts making you problems in this Milchama, you'll bring the tzitz to the Milchama. The tzitz was the golden, headband or head plate that the Kohen Gadol would wear that said on it Kodesh Lashem. It's a shail in the Gemara. How exactly it was written? Was it written Kodesh Lashem on one line? Kodesh Lashem, Kodesh was lower, Kodesh was higher, and Lashem. It's a whole question of the Gemara. And anyways, so he told him that if you go to that if Moshe told Pinchas that when Balaam starts making problems for you, you just focus the tzitz on Balaam and he'll be dead. Huh? You're making faces. You're not zufrieden, huh? So what happened was like this. Let's see if we can find it here in this medrash. Yesh Aimrim, Kshara Pinchas as Balaam shepereach ba'avir, Hizkir Hashem HaMefarish. Pinchas they were trying to get rid of Balaam because they didn't like him, right? Here we go, let's back up. When they went to the war, Moshe said to Pinchas Azay, Im tira es Balaam oisamine kshafen kedeli himalait. Balaam might sense that you're trying to catch him and you're trying to kill him. So what you got to do is, you got to be very, very careful about what Balaam's doing. As soon as Balaam starts doing kishuf, you got to catch him. Now the problem is that if somebody does kishuf, you can do all kinds of things as a supernatural, and it's going to be very difficult to fight that. Yeah, you could shoot him, but if he could disappear, then that's going to tell him. Sahara loy es hatzitz, hakodesh ubezet tucha lachnia oisay lahargoy. Show him the tzitz hakodesh, and with this you'll be able to subdue him and conquer him and get rid of him. V'kachoya, and thus a given the maasa. Shebeshash alachim v'imam lahargom. When they were fighting, they were waging war. It was hand-to-hand combat in those days, Wasn't so much with tanks and these big fancy missiles. Hefriach Balaam es chameshes malchim midyan ba'aver v'hu imohem. 6 people all of a sudden took off. All these rocket launches, but instead of rockets, it was people. 6 people start floating in the air. The 5 malchim midyan and Balaam together with them. Miyad heroloi Pinchas es hatzitz hakodesh Hashem Hashem chokukba v'naflu kulam v'humsu. What was the laser beam that they used to shoot down the missiles, to shoot down these 5 Malchei Midian and Balaam? The tzitz. The Kedushas HaTzitz was able to subdue the kishuf that Balaam did. Kira Pinchas as Balaam sheperech ba'aver hiskas Hashem ha'mefarish v'rat acharav ba'aver v'ayrile b'shalv chavik de lahargoy Oz hischil Bilam l'schanim b'fnei Pinchas shel Bilam starts begging for his life. Amaloi. Bilam says, if you don't kill me, I promise you I'm never going to hurt a Jew again. You were the guy you never stopped making problems. I don't trust the word that you say. You go out of your way, you bend yourself backwards to do anything to make Klal Yisrael miserable. He gives details over here. So mishum kachi efshi klal lanichacha b'chayim v'sholaf chobar v'horgor. Took our sword, chopped him up. V'yesh reimrim shenichna savik v'li b'shal pinchas v'choshash l'horgoi came sheish shechayz b'tshuva. Balaam started doing tshuva. I don't know if it was real or fake or not. So he asked Moshe. So Moshe made a bezdin, and they said that he's mechuyev and daled misas bezdin. And then they killed him. So they did a lot of different things to him. He fell from Shemayim. He fell down. So that was like skila. Then he killed him. That was like hereg. Those that learned that Balaam was using too much kishuf and Pinchas wasn't able to kill him with any kind of misa. Omar litzliya, shaher mishevet dan laharga. V'lei rata laharga b'shem ha'mefarish. Kedei shlei til ha'achizu b'kedusha. Kedei shlei skayim v'vukasha. Thomas nafshi moitzishorim. It's very interesting that they didn't want to kill him b'shem ha'mefarish. Why is that? Because even if you're using the Shem HaMefarish to kill somebody, that killing will be shaykh to an inyan of Kedusha. And what happened was, we already spoke to Gemara, says that Balaam said, Thomas Nafshi Moiz Yishoru, I want to die a death of the righteous. So Balaam, so to speak, was almost like planning for this. That the only way that they would be able to kill him and overpower him would be with the Shem HaMefarish. But then he's going to have Achiza B'Kedusha, so they didn't know what to do. So this person from Shevet Dan took a sword that there was a snake engraved on it on either side and killed him. Why? Just like Bilam's entire life, he was following after the model of the snake, who's the Nochash HaKadmoni, who's the Yetzirah. His whole life to do bad to the Jews, they killed him with the sword that had a snake on it. That's what it means. Why Bachorev? And that's the story how they killed Balaam. Yeah, all kinds of different mahalchim and pshatim. We could go through each one separate, individually, and figure it all out. Let's see if there's anything. Let's go weiter in the Gemara. The elders of Moav went together with the Ziknei Midian. Tana. Midian and Moav they never got along with each other. They were rivals. They were always fighting. Yeah, North Korea, South Korea. They never got along. They were always fighting with each other. Marshal It's a marshal to two dogs that were in the, two dogs in a doghouse. They were always barking at each other. So the Zev, the wolf, came to attack one of the dogs. So they're terrified of the wolf. These two dogs are terrified of the wolf. So what do they do? He says, one dog says, listen, if he's going to kill the other dog today, tomorrow he's going to come and kill me. So what do we got to do? Even though I never could get along with the other dog because he was barking at me. Yeah? So we have to get together and we have to fight off the common enemy, which is the wolf. So they both, the next day when the wolf came, they both ganged up on the wolf and they killed him. Same is over here with Moav and Midian. They're scared of the Jews. They're jealous of the Jews. The Jews have Kedusha. The Jews have Ruchnias. The Jews have Torah mitzvahs. It's not good for us that they're going to be like this. Obviously they made it sound more anti-Semitic. It wasn't, if a guy got something, he's going to say, the Jews, they have Yiddishkeit. They wear tefillin every day. Yeah, okay. So, and they say they own the banks, they control the weather, they control the politics, yeah?
Our rabbis control the
Yeah. That's right. It's true though. So what happened? Omer of Papa, Hainu da Amri Inchi, this is what people say, Karkushta Vishunra of the Hilula, mitarba the bishgada, the karkushta and the shunra. Let's see what these animals are. A weasel and a cat are never able to get along with each other. So, of the hilula mitarba the bishgada, they made a party from the animal that had bad mazel. Meaning because that they were both able to enjoy the dead animal. And neither of them are really able to get along, but they have common interests. The common interest and the common enemy that Moav and Midian had was the Jews. So let's stop the Jews from, making issues over here. Vayeshvu Sarei Moav and Bilam b'Sarei Midian Leichen Ozel. So it says that the Sarei Moav returned with Bilam. So it doesn't mention anything about the officers of Midian. So Kevan da Amalahu Linu Pa'alayla Vashivais Yeschem Davar or Maklum Yashav Shasanias Benoy. So the Ziknei Midian says it's not worth it because the father doesn't hate his son. So you're going to try to fight against Klal Yisrael, it's not going to work. Shu Sabar Shem Lakosh Baruch Kalalas Benita Kamar Bilam Linu Pa'alayla. See, a fascinating part of the story of Bilam is he's a Navi. He knows what he's doing is wrong. He knows what he's doing is against Hashem. He's going to wait for Hashem to give him the go-ahead. Huh? How did it make any sense? Oh, good morning. You think Hashem is going to let him get away with cursing the Klal Yisrael? It's not so simple. Klum yeshav shasayne es b'nai. Is there a father that hates his son so much that he wants some random creep enemy to come and to destroy him? Avadana, it's no such thing. All right, it looks like we got only a couple of minutes left, so let's talk about where Bilam got his great powers from. So I saw this in a medrash. I saw this brought down in Svarim a long time ago, and there's an interesting point I want to make over here. First of all, this Gemara that said Kelev, even when the Gemara gives a mashal, it's specific. I think that there's a Torah over here that we could say, that we could understand, that the pshat is like this, that like this. Amalek is referred to in Chazal as a Kelev. Why? Because he's Yedeya Ribainai Umiskaben Limraid Bay. We saw this by Menashe also. He recognized his master, he recognized Rabbeinu Shalom, and purposely goes against him. So that's a terrible thing. Now, if you scramble together the letters of Bilam and Balak, you get Amalek. So their role, their job, they identify very strongly with Amalek. They're on the same wavelength. They go together. Amalek is the first one that starts up with the Jews when they come out of Mitzrayim. Whose idea was that, by the way? Yeah? Whose idea was that? Where did Amalek get such a great idea from? They asked Bilam because they know that Bilam had a vendetta against the Jews to begin with. Yeah? You always want to go to the guy that's going to, is going to support your agenda. So they go to Bilam because Bilam is going to be the guy that's going to say, go get rid of the Jews anyways. So fine. So this is what happens. So I want to talk about where Bilam got this idea from to curse Klal Yisrael. Why do they have to do it this way? So there's a lot to see over here. Betchila nisu Balak Bilam to go against Klal Yisrael with Kshafim, with Kishuf, and Kishuf didn't work against Klal Yisrael. So they decided that we have to, like Rashi said before, we mentioned that they have to use the method of cursing with the Koyach HaPeh, because that's the Koyach that Klal Yisrael has. Ubalak hayachachim gadol mi Bilam mechachmas HaKshafim. Balak knew Kishuf better than Bilam, and he started to do Kshafim, and it wasn't lefi kvoidai to go and ask an Eitzah from Bilam. But when he saw that the kshafim that he was doing wasn't working on Klal Yisrael, then he had to lower himself and go to Bilam. And Shabbatchila lokach balak tzipor kazeh hanikris yodua. There's a certain kind of bird that you could do certain types of kishuf with, and he wanted to try that kishuf against Klal Yisrael. V'shalach oisay al mokam hanikr gelui einayim. He brought it to a place called Gelui Einayim, which is mokam harim l'tzvayim shel hari החושך. It's a mountainous place in the north, next to the mountains of darkness. And when the bird came back to Balak, he saw that there was a fire falling behind the bird, and the wings of the bird were singed. And that never happened. So Balak got very nervous. And he was very, very afraid. And he says, this is not for nothing. This is a sign that we're going to get burnt. I mean, we may have to go out of our way to do what we have to do, but we're going to get burnt from this. So that's what Balak did. And then he sent messengers to Balaam to find out what to do. So this is a shtickle arichos, and I want to start it now, and hopefully finish it up tomorrow, like this. Why is this place called Gilui Einayim? Lefisha Yishnei Malachim Shekitru Gol Brias Adam. Back before HaKadosh Baruch Hu created man, there were two malachim that said that it's not kedai that HaKadosh Baruch Hu should create a person to create Adam because he's full of averos. And when the Dor HaMabul came, the Dor HaMabul was a generation where they rebelled against Hashem. They did a lot of avodah zarah, they did a lot of averos, they did chomos, they did arayas. It was a free society. You were able to do whatever you wanted. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu was very sad because HaKadosh Baruch Hu said, "How can I destroy the world?" So these malachim said, "Well, what do you mean? We told you." Like, the malachim basically said to Hashem, we told you. So, what were you what was the cheshbon? Obviously, if you create Adam, he's going to be chaytis. What's the cheshbon over here? What is man for? We remember him. I mean, what are we going to remember him for? What's the point over here? So they said that it's better that man does not get created. So Hashem said to the malachim, it's not true what you're saying. You're wrong. Because even if you're malachim, if you were to be put to the test that these bnei Adam have with their Yetzer Hara, you wouldn't make it through the test either. And you would perform a lot worse than them. So they said, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, give us permission. Let's go down into the world, into the physical world, and let's live a physical life, and we'll be Mekadosh Shem Shemayim this way. We'll do the right thing, and we won't sin. So Hashem says to these malachim, you have my permission to go down to the world and not sin. I give you rishos, and we'll see if you can pass the test or not. And that's what happened. They went down into the world, and all of a sudden they started getting taivas, and they wanted to do arayas, and they couldn't stop themselves, and they ended up sinning. So when HaKadosh Baruch Hu saw that these malachim couldn't control themselves, so they were using all kinds of shemes hatumah that they knew, and they were not only were they sinning, but they were causing other people to sin along with them. So Hashem took these two malachim. Now, obviously, we have to understand what this means, but Hashem took these two malachim and he tied them up with iron chains, and they had the Shem HaMefarish on these chains. And Hashem placed these malachim in the Hori HaChoshech. I don't know where the Hori HaChoshech are. And if you know where they are, please don't tell me. I'm not interested in knowing. And, as we're going to learn more about this story, we'll see exactly why it's not good to know where they are, as we're going to see a Maisa that he brings over here. And one of these malachim that HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave him permission to come down into this world was very upset and tried not to get tied up. So Hashem said, you know what, I'm not even going to put you in the Hori HaChoshech, I'm going to put you even further than the Hori HaChoshech, I'm going to sink you down into the depths, into the darkest places. And Hashem sent him there. And Hashem sent the other one also far away into a place. And that great depth in the darkness of the, we're not talking about physical things altogether here. Probably this is in a spiritual realm, but this is a spiritual darkness. A dark spiritual existence. And that place was called Gilui Einayim. And where did Balaam get to know all the Kishuv from? Where did Balaam get to be Yonik? Where was where was the education of Kishuv? It came from this dark and scary place where these malach, where HaKadosh Baruch Hu put these malach. And it's interesting because these mountains where they were placed, this Hori HaChoshech is called the Hararei Kedem, and that's why Balaam says Min Aram Yancheni Balak May Hararei Kedem, because Balak sent them to bring them from these mountains, because this is where the Shoresh, this is the Hori HaChoshech Academy, the Academy of Darkness, and it's a terrible, scary place to go there. And that's why Balaam praises himself when he's benching Klal Yisrael, and he says, Asher machzeh shaka yechzeh. He sees the visions of God. Noifel uglui einayim. The Neufel is referring to one of these malachim, and Gluyei Naim is referring to the other one of these malachim. That's what the names of these malachim that were exiled into the abyss of the darkness. It doesn't mean that Balaam saw the Shechina, and that's where his nevuah came from. But his nevuah was nurtured and educated from this dark, dark place, from these malachim. And these malachim, Balaam communicated with them, and these malachim taught Balaam all kinds of shemis tuma, ekshafim. And this is what the pasuk says: Shemeya imre kel v'yedei das elyon. So a person who's going to learn this pasuk might think that the kavanah of the pasuk is talking about that he heard what HaKadosh Baruch Hu said, and he knew das elyon, and he understood HaKadosh Baruch Hu. But that's not what it means. It means that he knew how to be mishabeach himself, that this darkness, the understanding of the Avodah Zarah and the Kishuv, is called El Acher. It says El Acher, and that's from the evil forces. That's from the Koyches Hatum in the Welt. That's not from the Gutes Acher. And Yedei Das Elyon, the Kavanah is also to the Das Elyon means he knew how to communicate with the highest officers and the highest malachim to learn the Kishuv and to learn the Shemis Hatum. Okay, so we'll stop here. We'll continue the rest of the story tomorrow. And I also would like to go through the story of Kushan Rishosayim in Sefer Shoftim, and which was shortly after Yeshua passed away, and to be continued. Mitzvah Shem. All right. Hatzlacha ubracha.